Hello and welcome to video number 2 of the series We're All in This Together. This is a collaboration between Seniors Action Quebec and the English Language Arts Network. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Internet 101, basic principles. So let's get browsing. Hello, my name is Monica, and as we said earlier, we're going to be talking about the internet. These are the topics we're going to cover today: web browsers, search engines, Safari settings, HTTP or HTTPS, what is it, why do we care, and which one should we use, cookies, bookmarks and favorites, and internet speed. So let's start with web browsers, and I'm sure you will all recognize the most common web browsers out there. We have Chrome by Google, Firefox by Mozilla, Edge by Microsoft, and Safari by Apple. Safari is the native web browser to any Apple device, such as the iPad that we're going to be using today. So the web browser is our window to the internet, or the interface to the internet. The web browser that comes with the iPad is Safari, but you can download and play with all of the other web browsers. And of course, we cannot talk about web browser without talking about the search engines, because the web browser might be the window to the internet, but the search engine is actually the tool that we use to find that information. And you will recognize here some of the most common search engines, or the ones that we use most often, which is Google, Bing by Microsoft, Yahoo, and a search engine that we're hearing more and more recently is DuckDuckGo. Can we use these search engines with only one browser? And the answer to that is no. So for example, if we are using the Safari web browser, we can use it with any of these search engines. Let's go ahead and start browsing on Safari with Google and see how that looks. So right here down at the dock, I have Safari. So I'm gonna tap and open it. And this is how Safari looks like. And you can see here that I have different search engines. So I have Google, Bing, Yahoo, and DuckDuckGo. We also have Apple, but actually if we press on Apple, what it does is taking us to the Apple Store. On the top right, we're gonna click on it, and we're gonna click on the X on the top right, and that the tab is gonna disappear. And now let's go and search or tap on Google. And if you wanna remove this bar on the left, we just need to press on the top left corner, and now we are browsing on our full screen. So there are a few elements that I want to mention on this screen. And first of all, this under Google, this is what we call the search bar. And this is where we enter keywords to do a search. And here at the top, we have another bar. And this is what we call the address bar. So if you have a link, for example, google.ca, this is where we enter the address. And if you notice there is a little lock beside it, we're gonna talk about that a little bit later. But right now, I wanna focus as well on the buttons that we can use to go back and forth, and the button that we can use to refresh our website. So I'm talking about these two buttons here, and with this we can go back and forth. So let's just tap and visit the weather network. So now that we're visiting the weather network, we have this button that has been enabled. And now I can go back to my search or go forward. And I'm going now to the weather network. And we also have the refresh button that serves to refresh the page. And this is very useful when we are looking at a web page that changes often. So that is very basic what we can do on the browser. If you remember, we also had a left panel here, so we can easily bring it back by tapping on this square button at the top left. And we can also add tabs. So here we were searching for the weather network, but we can easily add another tab and then search something else. So let's go now to another search engine. Let's tap on Bing, and this time we're gonna search for Seniors Action Quebec. And we're gonna press search. And as you see here, the search engine give us different results. So of course, at the beginning is the web page, but it's also giving us a map in case we want to go there. There is more information about the map and some other links. So we're gonna go at the top. And before we click on a link, I wanna show you that there are different search results. So these are all search results, but also we can search for images. And these are the images that it found with Seniors Action Quebec. We can also search for videos for Seniors Action Quebec, maps, and there was another one. So if you see here, I just use the back button. So let's go back to all and then actually click on Seniors Action Quebec. And this is gonna take us to this web page. And now we can start browsing. This is the tab that we're currently on, which is Seniors Action Quebec, but we can also switch to our previous tab that was the Weather Network. And of course, we can keep adding tabs. So now we're in the main browser and we can do another search here. We're just gonna go back. So I'm gonna press on my home button. And now let's go and review the settings that we have for Safari. And there are a few important ones regarding security and privacy that I wanna make sure you have on your iPad. I'm gonna open here settings and I'm gonna scroll up until I find Safari. There it is. And here we have different sections. So we have search, general, tabs, and privacy and security. A lot of these settings, they might have already been to what you need them to be, but it's always useful to come and check that it is actually what you want. So on the first section that is called search, the first option is the search engine and is set to Google. We can leave it like that, or we can select any other search engine. I'm just gonna leave it like that for now. In any case, you can always browse or you can always search the internet with any search engine, as we saw already. We're gonna go to general. An important setting to have enabled is block pop-ups, and it's this one. It needs to be green. Let's continue scrolling. We're gonna go to privacy and security. And these ones, they need to be almost all of them enabled. The first one is called prevent cross-site tracking. That needs to be on, enabled. We also need to prevent trackers from getting our IP address. So the hide IP address, it needs to be from trackers, it needs to be checked. Block all cookies, that one is actually disabled, and we're gonna see why later on. Then fraudulent website warning. Yes, please warn me if I'm about to click on a fraudulent website. Privacy preserving ad measurement. Yes, let's put that on. And check for Apple Pay. It's actually your choice. So for now, for my iPad, is set to off. Let's continue. Now we're in settings for websites. The three most important ones here are the three last ones, that is camera, microphone, and location. If I tap on camera, it's gonna take me to this menu. And what it means is that if a website is ever wanting to access my camera, it needs to ask me. So I'm gonna have a notification that says, hey, this website, I don't know, Zoom is trying to access your camera. Do you wanna allow it or not? So at that time, I can allow or deny. The same for microphone. If a website is trying to access my microphone, it's gonna ask me and I can allow or deny on the spot, and location as well. So if those three are set to ask, I think we are good to go. So just to recap, these are in privacy and security. Yes, prevent cross-site tracking is enabled, hide IP from trackers, fraudulent website warning enabled, and privacy preserving ad measurement enabled, as well as block pop-ups. So now let's move on with the next section. Now let's talk about HTTP and HTTPS. And if you have noticed, our website address, they all start with http://www.sitea.com. So HTTP and HTTPS is the protocol that website uses to communicate. What do we mean by that? And most importantly, why do we care? Well, HTTP was the first protocol and it was not encrypted. It was open for everybody to see. And HTTPS follow HTTP and now is encrypted. It has some level of security. And as you could imagine, we prefer to use HTTPS over HTTP. This example can help us understand a little bit better the difference between HTTP and HTTPS. So HTTP is like being on vacation, picking up a postcard, and then sending it to a friend. And we don't think twice about it if somebody is gonna read that message. And basically, that is HTTP. Anybody around us could read the message that we're sending. And let's remember that we are sending these messages on the internet. HTTPS, on the contrary, is the equivalent of sending a letter to somebody but putting it in an envelope. So yes, this letter is probably going to contain our address, and it has to contain the address of the person that we're sending this letter, otherwise it's gonna get lost. But at least in transit, the people that get this letter cannot read the content. So that's why we say HTTPS is safer than HTTP and is the one that we should use, but it doesn't mean that that is all there is for security. And we're gonna talk a little bit more about security in future videos, but for now, just remember that when a website address starts with HTTP, we should be careful about it, and actually we should avoid going to those websites. It's better to go and find our information somewhere else and not click on the HTTP. So let's go check if the websites that we were visiting earlier are HTTP or HTTPS. Let's open Safari. And if you remember, we had two tabs. So we had the Weather Network and Seniors Action Quebec. So let's tap on Seniors Action Quebec, for example, and you can notice right away there is a lock right beside the address, the Seniors Action Quebec. So if there is a lock, that means this website has HTTPS, but let's go and actually see it. So what we can do is just tap on the address, and then it's gonna show us the full address. And I'm gonna switch here screen so you can see it. So now we can see clearly that this site starts with HTTPS, www.seniorsactionquebec.ca. And this website also starts with HTTPS, etc. So if there is a lock, it means the websites are using HTTPS protocol, but now we know how to verify and we actually know what that means. Now moving on to the next subject, that is cookies. Cookies are small files that are sent to my browser from the site that I am visiting. So when I visit the site again, it can serve me a better user experience. So let's see the different types. A first-party cookie is the cookies that are sent from the site I am visiting. So in this example, I open my web browser and I am visiting site A. So this site a.org is gonna send my browser a cookie or several cookies. And some of the cookies might be related to the language. Maybe it's a site where I can buy things. So maybe I can put things on my wish list or things on my cart. So these are the kind of cookies that this site is gonna send to my browser. Now, the session cookies are the cookies that are going to disappear from my browsers the moment I close that browser. Persistent cookies are cookies that have an expiration date. So even if I close my browser, if I come back a day later, a week later, these cookies are still gonna be there. And these are the cookies that I'm talking about where I'm saying the language you chose, for example, or a card. So these are persistent cookies. They have an expiration date from months up to a year. Now there are third-party cookies, and these are the cookies that if we have the option, we should deny them. So what is a third-party cookie? As we saw the example of the A party, I'm visiting a.org. Maybe this website is using social media or is using images from another website. So then this other site is sending me cookies because it's somehow linked by the A site. Why are they sending me cookies? Well, they want to track my activity. Basically, what they're used for is for advertising. So these are the cookies that we can simply say, no, thank you. To recap, first-party cookies, session cookies, they disappear as soon as we close the browser. Persistent cookies, they have an expiration date and they will remember the language that we chose or the shopping cart if we're doing some shopping, or our wish list if we are placing items there. Third-party cookies, they are the site tracker or the cross-site trackers, and these are the cookies that we don't need to accept. And if you remember in our settings, we already said prevent cross-site tracking. So this is gonna prevent most of those third-party cookies. So let's get out of here. I'm gonna press my home button and I'm gonna go to Safari. Let's go to another tab. Let's open another tab and we do that with the plus sign. And now let's go shopping. This time we're gonna open something else. We're gonna open Bing and we're gonna go to Canadian Tire. So here we are. These are all the search results, but we want to go to the site. So we're just gonna click here on canadiantire.ca. I'm just clicking here. And here we are on the site. Let's see if I have something on my wish list. And no, it says my wish list is empty. Your wish list is currently empty. Perfect. So let's just go ahead and add something to my wish list. There is a red heart. It's kind of small. beside every product. So I'm just gonna click on it and I'm gonna click twice. Now it's been added to my wish list. Now let's move on to this one, and yeah, I'm gonna add this one as well to my wish list. That item has been added to my wish list. Let's also add this to my wish list. So now, as you can see, I have 3 items. So I'm just gonna go and see that, and I have a trampoline, some measuring cups, and the Ninja Dual air fryer. Perfect. So now I'm simply going to close this site, and to do that I'm gonna go to this symbol. It's the 4 squares here at the top right. These are all the tabs that I have open. So I have the Weather Network, Seniors Action Quebec, and Canadian Tire. So I'm gonna close Canadian Tire. I click on the X and close. I'm also gonna close this one. Actually, I'm gonna close every tab. Let's go now to Google and search for Canadian Tire. And let's see if Canadian Tire remembers the items that I put on my wish list. And yes, it does remember. If you see here, there are 3 items on my wish list, and yes, it's the trampoline and the measuring cups and the Ninja air fryer. Now let's leave that web page there and go to the settings and block all cookies. So I'm gonna get out of here, but I'm not closing. So if I open Safari again, that tab still open. So pressing on my home button and getting away from Safari, it doesn't mean that I'm closing that tab. That tab is still open. Whenever I'll come back to Safari, that will still be there. Now I'm going to settings. And now here we are in Safari and privacy and security. And we have this option that was saying block all cookies. And that one was disabled. So let's enable it now and see what happens. Are you sure you want to block all cookies? Websites may not work if you do this. Existing cookies and website site will also be removed. So this means when I enable this, all the cookies are gonna be gone. I'm gonna say yes because we're testing this. So I'm gonna say yes, please block all cookies. So now I'm gonna press my home button and go back to Safari. And now I am going to refresh the website. Even if I don't refresh it, I think it refreshed by itself, but I'm gonna go ahead and use the refresh button. And now, as you can see, the wish list is empty. It doesn't say anything anymore. Let's click and see what happened. Nothing. It's completely gone, which is okay. I see some pictures. Let's click on that one. There is not much that we can do when I have no cookies enabled. So I'm gonna go back, and yes, I have the pictures here on the first page, but then as soon as I click on something, let's click on something else. Let's click on this bicycle. There is really not much that we can do if we don't have cookies. So let's leave that side for now. Let's go back to settings and now disable the block cookies. But now the prevent cross-site tracking is really important. Let's go back again to Safari and let's reload. And now we have bicycles again. So that's what I mean. This site needs cookies to work or to function properly. But Safari is helping me prevent these third-party cookies that basically are cross-site tracking me. That's what we need to have enabled instead of just blocking all cookies by default. So now let's go check what sites actually got blocked. We have here a privacy report. I'm gonna open it. So in the last 30 days, they have prevented 100% of the websites that I visited, which is Canadian Tire. And then what trackers? So these are the website, and the website is Canadian Tire. And what were the trackers that were prevented? So these are the trackers. So we have Google, Cloudflare, Twitter, Facebook, Google, and a lot of other sites that I don't really know. We also have Bing.com, Google Analytics, Yahoo, and even LinkedIn, which I am a little surprised by that one, but it is another social media. So those were prevented from profiling me on this website. And now let's close the website. What we can do is simply go to the tabs that we have open, and then we click on close, or we can just swipe, and that's gonna close that tab. And now moving on, let's go bookmark or mark as favorite some of our most used websites. We can search directly on the address bar, or we can search with one of our search engines. So let's go directly on the top on the address bar and just search Weather Network. Weather Network, and it's right here. I'm just gonna tap on it. So how do we bookmark or mark as favorite a website? If you notice here, there is a symbol right next to the plus. It's like a square with an arrow pointing up. So we're gonna click on that one. And now here we have another menu. And here it says we can add a bookmark or we can add to favorites. Let's add this one to favorites. And of course we can change the name if we want, but I'm just gonna leave it simple like that. And I'm gonna do save. And now without closing this website, I'm just gonna open a new tab. And now we have the Weather Network. Of course, I'm in a new tab, so I can open it again. I had it open, but it doesn't matter. So now I have two tabs with the Weather Network. Now I can choose to close this tab. There is a very little X right next to it, but if that is very small for my finger, which it is, I can do this, and oh, I have this tab is repeat. I don't need that. I'm just gonna close this one. There you go. Now I'm gonna say done, and I'm gonna open another tab. So let's go to another site. This time I'm gonna go to Seniors Action Quebec. Seniors Action Quebec, and it's right there because we've already been to that site. And then let's book it and see what is the difference. So again, I'm gonna go to that symbol that is a square with an arrow pointing up. And now this time I'm gonna do add bookmark. So I'm gonna tap on it, and what it's gonna tell me, well, where do you want this bookmark? And the location by default of all the bookmarks are favorites. So that will be the equivalent of just marking it as favorite. But let's do something different. Let's go to location. So let's click on favorites, and then it's gonna open again a menu, and I can create a new folder for this website, or I can just bookmark it on the default folder. So I'm just gonna go to bookmarks, and I'm gonna do save. Now again, let's do the exercise and let's see what happened. So I'm gonna open a new tab on the plus sign, And as you see here, I have my favorites. The Weather Network is there, but Seniors Action Quebec is not there, which is normal because these are my favorites. So I'm gonna click on this icon here on the top left corner. Now here I can see I have 3 tabs open and I have bookmarks. And now in my bookmarks, I have my favorites, which are these ones. And here I have Seniors Action Quebec. So this is the website. Now, if I go, I open it twice because I had already opened it and now I chose to open it again. So again, it doesn't matter. We can just close it or leave it open. And I'm gonna click done. I'm gonna open this again. And let's say, well, I go to this website a lot and I actually wanna see it on my favorites. So we can do that very easily. We're just gonna go press and hold over Seniors Action Quebec. And then this menu is going to appear. I'm gonna do edit. And now I can edit here. So I can change the name if I want to, but what I want to change is the location. So I'm gonna press on bookmarks and I'm gonna actually change the location to favorites. There you go. Now let's get out of this menu. Just press back here and back to Safari. Now I have 2 tabs open, which I had, and let's open another tab. And now, as you can see, I have my search engines, I have the Weather Network, and I have Senior Action Quebec. You can move these icons around and rearrange them, but you can also delete things. Let's say you don't use Yahoo that much. So we're just gonna press and hold, and we can simply go and delete. And you wanna move DuckDuckGo. There you go. So we just press hold and drag wherever we want it. We can also use this edit button. There are a few options here, so we can remove our favorites from this, and this is how it's gonna look. But I don't know, I really like having my favorites right there, so I'm gonna leave it there. So the difference between bookmark and favorites is basically the same, but the favorites we can choose to have them here. So if we visit them often, we might as well mark them as favorite, but our bookmarks are also available here. If you don't want to fill up this page with a lot of icons, you might want to bookmark some and favorite just the ones that you use the most. Now let's go ahead and check the speed of our internet. So once again, I'm going to my browser. I'm gonna open Google. And I'm gonna type speedtest.net. I'm gonna tap on the second one. And here is the result. So speed test by Ookla. I'm gonna tap again on it and it's gonna bring me to this site. As you can see, there is a little lock just beside it. I'm just gonna tap beside the lock so you can see that this is an HTTPS site. So we're all good. I'm just gonna tap outside. And I'm gonna tap on the center where it says go. But I'm just gonna make this browser a little bit bigger so we can see it better. I'm gonna tap here and now we are using the whole screen. So I'm gonna tap go and test my internet speed. It's gonna test my download speed and my upload speed. And what is the difference between download speed and upload speed? The download speed is what we're using when we are, for example, watching videos or watching a movie, streaming a movie on any streaming services that you might have. That is our download speed. Now, our upload speed is the speed where we are putting things on the internet. Let's say you have a drive on the internet or you're putting something on the cloud, you're uploading. So let's look at these numbers. I have on the download speed, I got a 7.54, and on the upload speed, I got a 6.88. So what does this means? Because these are only numbers. So how do I know if this is good or bad or average? So let's just remember that I was in the around the 7. So let's talk about the minimum download speed. How little do we need to, for example, browse social media or just do some web browsing? It says that we need 1 to 2 megabits per second. On internet, we talk about megabits or megabytes per second. To view videos on standard definition, we might need 3 megabits per second or 5 megabits per second if I'm watching an HD video. But it might be a lot more if nowadays there is more than HD. There is 4K, so the higher definition the video it is, the more megabits per second or download speed I'm gonna need. If I'm in a teleconference and everybody has high definition videos, I might need a minimum of 6 megabits per second. So gauging on my download speed, I fare about 7.54. So that means, yes, I can browse the internet just as we've been doing. I can check my social media accounts. I could probably do a video call, or I could start streaming a video that it's even if it's HD, I should be okay. It might start lagging a little bit, but I should be okay. Now let's look at the upload speed. So I will need an average of 3 megabits per second for Zoom videos, an average of 4 megabits per second if I will be streaming this video into Facebook Live, or from 1 to 51 megabits per second if I will be streaming this video directly into YouTube. So depending if my video is a standard definition video, it's an HD, the range really varies. Right now I am at 6.88, so I could easily go on a Facebook Live. I'm not sure about YouTube, maybe if the video is not HD, if it's standard definition, but I could definitely upload some files into the internet, into a cloud or a Google Drive, something like that, or jump on a Zoom call and they should be able to see me depending on how many people are in that Zoom call and if everybody is using the HD or not. So once again, thank you very much for following this video. I hope you found it useful. And I also want to remind you we have a video number 1 on how to use your iPad or how to start using our iPad. And now this second video are about the internet, and our third video that is going to be on communication regarding email, FaceTime, and Skype. And I will be really curious to know if you have any questions that you would like us to answer in this next video.